ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Charles Does Coding ASMR. Today has been a bit of a train wreck, but, well, I've gotten a lot done. It was with help from good old ChatGPT, but we might be able to actually get a few things all set up. So right now, each of these points is going to their closest neighbor, closest three neighbors. No, I think if we're starting at 0, then we should technically go to 2, because that will go the first one with 0, the second one with 1, and then 2 is equal to 2, so that should give us the third one, and that will reduce the complexity of our graph, but we're just doing a bit of graphing right now. So I was working on doing a Voronoi tessellation, and what I failed to realize was that the average of 3 points doesn't actually make it so that the 3 points are equidistant from each other. Because with 2 points you get the midpoint, and the midpoint is equidistant from each other. But the issue is that we get the circumcircle instead of the we want the circumcircle instead of the I forget what it's called, but yeah, that midpoint doesn't do the right thing. So I was working all day off of that, trying to figure out why things weren't working, and evidently it wasn't working because it was the wrong piece of data that I was looking for. But that's okay. Sometimes you get a little bit train wrecky. Okay, so this seems more like it. This one's closest 3 should be that one and that one, and there should be a third. So maybe I was wrong. Go 0, and then 1, then 2. I'm sorry if there's any background noise. We have the darling nibblings over, which is to say my niece and nephew. And the sound of children is always joyous in this house, even when I'm trying to have a cozy vibe. If I set this to 3, we'll get more. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find the 3 closest neighbors, because that's going to help define where it is that the lines will go in the near future. But I'm not quite there yet. So that seems like the best one. It's 3 closest neighbors. Probably one of these, one of those, and that one over there, I guess, somehow. So this is pretty good. So with this, we then want to go to the midpoint between the 2 objects. And that should be easy enough to deal with. This debugging draw is a public class within the Voronoi seed class. Trying to figure out a few things. I thought about potentially doing this as a tippy-tappy for my writing as well, because every once in a while I'll clack the keys there too. But we'll see what happens. I don't know how much I'm going to do on this one, because ultimately I'm a little bit stuck on coding, and I've been stuck all day. And I don't know that it makes a lot of sense to do all of the little stucks. But the idea is that this is just getting some ducks in a row. And so it generates the position between 0 and 10, I guess, of a new seed. And then it instantiates the seed prefab with the new position, and then the seed receives the new position, which I guess we could just do it as position. We don't need to do the whatchamacallit. And the Voronoi seed has an initializer that does some stuff, which I'll talk about in a second. And then we get the component of the Voronoi region, set its seed equal to the Voronoi seed, and then we add seeds to a master list. So, from there, each seed is going to ultimately need a set of vertexes. That's the wrong thing. I've commented it out because I was debugging a thing. Turns out if you have it so that a list of references is referenced in a object, it can recursivify your editor window. So you need to add this little flag here. I learned that today. I haven't had that problem before. Or at the very least, I've worked around that problem before. So, from here we now have the region vertices. And the region vertices are going to be calculated up here. So right now we just have this debugging draw, which for the moment is drawing all the lines to the closest neighbors. But we're going to do things a little bit differently, because what we have to do now is we have to find we'll keep this for right now. It's going to probably be commented out. So we need to find the midpoint between this neighbor and the next neighbor. So what we should do is factor 3 midpoint, and the midpoint is equal to the neighbor position. And the current position divided by 2. So that gives us the midpoint. And then we need the normal, which should be the difference between... Sorry, no, it is the cross vector of the midpoint to this position, if necessary, with the right hand being the direction pointing out of the screen, which should be forward, back, sorry. And from there, if we save and draw the normal at the midpoint, which is a copy of this, we start at the midpoint, we go in the direction of the midpoint plus normal, times 3 for right now, and we make it cyan, and that should draw some stuff. So now we should start to see the regions of the Voronoi tessellation being drawn. Oh, something's gone wrong. Let's try to figure out what that is. No, it's doing it right. It's just going way too far. So let's make that down to 1 for now. And let's make that, I don't know if there's a difference in the implication of whether you reverse the forward vector or not, but the math is all there. So we stop this and we'll try again. Okay. So it seems like these ones out here are pointing away from the center. I would have thought that would have reversed it, but I guess not. So let's try reversing this one. Okay, that's much better. So with this, that would create a point of interest. But it seems like for this one, there's multiple that are saying that this is a point of interest, which is interesting because this one seems much longer. But I think this one's much longer because of a midpoint here, which is interesting that they're coincident or close to it. But this little porcupine is what we needed for today. So glad to see that it worked out after all of the work that I trashed. I had to restart. I was doing a lot of things that were just wrong. So for this one, there's also a little bit of weirdness with stuff like this, because each one of these needs to theoretically have a origin, for lack of a better term. So the issue quickly becomes that my region vertices ultimately are going to need lines stored. And so we theoretically have these lines, but what we need to do is make it so that they all connect places. So let's make the lines really tiny for a minute. Let's see if I can hand draw this. I can go away for a little bit. No, I don't want to save changes. So if I pause this, I click play. That's also a little bit worrisome when it's like this. So it seems like some close by. I almost need to make like a poison disc sampling. But that's gonna be I'm gonna try a poison disc sample. I'm gonna try it. Don't be like me, kids. Make sure that you're make sure that your poison disc sample is better than me. If find closest seed, position, does this return a vector 3? It returns a seed, so we got go pot position minus position dot magnitude. This is like pseudo poison disc. It's like pseudo poison disc with a small chance that it recurs forever. So that's an option. This is how I'm gonna do it. It's probably stupid in the long run, but well, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so it runs for the first one. So we just say if I equals 0 and I doesn't equal 0, so that should be fine. That should do it, because it's not going to reject the first pass. Should just be I greater than 0. We don't need to say not equal to. Actually, I don't know which is technically more performant. My brain says not equal to should be more performant, but who knows? There we go. Fantastic. So let's get a nice scene view of these points and see what I can come up with right quick. So this is the base station of the thing. Should probably draw the 10 by 10 edges, but if we go and we get a copy of this, and we can find where these things intersect. I mean, I can do it right here, and well, let's do it in paint just so that the lines are safe. Oops. Alright, so we continue in this direction till probably right about there. And this seems okay. Like, realistically, all we have to do is, I mean, even if we just draw between, okay, hold on a second, let me just brain out an approach, a stupid approach, mind you. But at this point, if we just connect the midpoints, yeah, no, we can't do that. Yeah, we can't do that. There'd be weird triangular regions. But then again, that also gives it the implication that it's broken up, which might actually do the trick better. Because it doesn't really matter just so long as there's... I don't know what this will look like. Let's see how long we've been at this. It's been about 20 minutes. I think I'm a bit tired for the day, so I might call it. I'll probably do a bit more work off camera just to see if I can get this all to play nice and play fancy. But I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry I wasn't quite so talkative as I normally am. If you'd enjoyed, consider leaving a like, a comment about your day, and tell me about what kind of content you'd like to see on my channel. I know that this ASMR is just kind of filler for right now, but some people sort of requested it, so you know how it is. And, as always, stay alive out there.